All right, welcome everyone to the Hyperautomation Study Group. Today is December 15th, and our topic today is hyperautomation. Now, what are the hyperautomation exam preparedness and what is hyperautomation? So I'm going to cover a lot of that as well. What I'm going to do while we're waiting for more guests to arrive, because I do know several are still coming in, it's right at 12:03. So I'm going to share some information and some announcements in regards to some of our other challenges that are out there. Now, there was an Okta challenge presented at one of our study groups that I threw out there for you all to do in regards to Okta. And instead of sharing the solutions on the study group, because the study group is every 2 weeks, and part of this challenge, the next two portions of the challenge, are also going to be involving Anypoint platform trial accounts. They only last 30 days. So here's what we're doing. I already shared the solution on the MuleSoft community Twitch channel. And so in the chat, I have already added that URL so you can go watch it and get the solution and do this part. Okay, so it's already there mapped out for you. I'm also writing a blog on this, so there'll be step-by-step instructions in a blog by the end of next week. So if you prefer to do written instructions, that will be there. In addition, is going to be a second challenge coming. So this one primarily focused on getting your account set up on Okta, because you have to have all of the details set up on the Okta site with the authorization server, the token, web app, all those type of things. And challenge 2 is going to be next week, December 21st. Now that's when we're going to create the trial account. So come on at 10:30. Again, the link is in the chat. Let me give you the community link here. And we'll be putting it out there so you know exactly where. You don't have to sign up for this or anything. Just come and join us. Okay. Make sure your mics are muted. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And so this is the challenge 2 next Tuesday, right? No, it's on Thursday. Next Thursday, 10:30 Eastern time, community Twitch. It's in the chat right now for you. And at the challenge 2, and I'm walking you through the challenges. Challenge 2 is getting the platform set up for an OIDC client provider for us to use, and then preparing the platform for challenge 3. So once we have gotten this one done, then what we're going to do is challenge 3 will be actually solved January 16th, which is why we're doing the 21st to the 16th. You'll have your trial account still working there, and you can go ahead and advance, create 2 business groups with 2 environments per business group, add an API, publish it to Exchange, and secure it with OAuth 2. So that's the challenge 3. If you complete all 3 challenges and invite me to your public, you have to share your asset publicly in a public exchange. Then what I'll do is anyone that completes all 3 challenges, I will give you an hour of private coaching time one-on-one. That's my gift to you for completing all 3 challenges. One second here. Whitney, would you send Susan Farrago the login directly? Do you have her?
A login directly. Do you want her to register?
I think she is going to share a segment, so I want her to.
Okay, hold on. I will send her on LinkedIn. Okay.
Okay. All right. You know what? I think I can do it real quick. Hang on, folks. 1 second. Hang on, Whitney. Let me see if I can do it from here. That might be faster. There we go. I think this will work. So hold up on that. So anyway, this is the challenges, the Okta challenges. And we're calling it the Okta dance because, it is a dance. The Okta piece itself is a dance. There's also some other challenges out there, as you know. Ryan's got a data weave challenge, the Speedway also. So we're going to be pulling a lot of these challenges together and getting them on our website so that we have a, a board to give you recognition for what you have achieved. Okay. So it's really exciting to do that. Now, going into our topic for today. So those are some of the announcements. There's the data weave. I'll share that at the end again. That is the 29th of December. We've got some data weave challenges. That's going to be, again, I'll share some of that with you at the end of this event. Okay, so leading into our topic for hyperautomation is for our agenda for today is looking at the hyperautomation course scope. Okay, now the exam itself is not just on the scope of the course. So there's going to be other questions. I've had people tell me who have been in an instructor-led class that, gosh, there were questions on the exam that were not really covered in the class. Well, that is true. That is true. That is true with some of the other exams as well. Some of the other exams, they are not necessarily associated, with everything on the exam. Some of the exams will also state that, in addition to the course, having some experience, X amount of time. I think one of them says 6 months period of time. Some's a little longer. The architect exams assume that you have, more experience than just the course material. So know that it may include other things in those objectives for the class itself, in addition to real world experience on that, or at least hands-on experience with that. All right. Checking on one of our speakers coming in. She's going to join and share a few things. There we go. She's here. Okay. So in talking about the hyperautomation course, before I go deeper into that, I do want to share with you that I did cover in one of the Twitch presentations the course material. Let me mute this here. The details of this course, of the hyperautomation course. So if you have not been able to attend this class and aren't able to for whatever reason, I was permitted to, I did ask before I shared the course material and the details of the hyperautomation course. This the expert-led class that we offer. And so this recording, I'll put this in the chat for you, is the highlights of the hyperautomation class. Okay, highlights of the hyperautomation class. So if you're really not, I see, yeah, there we go. Let me go forward here. If you are not familiar with the details, of course, there are some trail mixes as well, and I'll share some of those with you. I've got the links for those, but we work with an electric vehicle car company. We create a bot that goes out there, and so it starts off with first creating a MuleSoft asset that we use to connect to a database, the electric vehicle database. And then we create a bot. So now we're using another product, the MuleSoft RPA. And so then from there, we go forward and we connect the platform. So we do all of the process of the bot, etc. Then we connect with the platform. Let me go further ahead here. There we go. Okay, we use MuleSoft Composer. So anyway, I'm just giving you the highlights of this video, but this video is exposing what the course is about. We get into Flow Builder, then we get into orchestration. And from orchestration, then we create a bot that communicates with us. Okay, so watch that video if you want to see what's in the course. All right. And that way it'll give you an idea of, what to expect, from the course itself. Now, there are trailheads. I'm going to share a lot of that with you also when I talk about exam preparedness and other ways that you can get exposed to the objectives of this course. Then we'll have Q&A for areas you might be stuck in. You might be stumped right now, or you might have taken the exam and did not pass. And so we'll get into that in the Q&A. All right. So I'll give you an opportunity to, put any questions in the chat and things like that. But going into this, as we lead into this, I do have an expert with us in the room who is centered around, and her expertise, not only is she a dear friend, but her expertise is on certification, the importance on certification. And so, Susan, I'm so glad you were able to join us. And I would like for you to go ahead and share your screen, come on camera and say hello to us. Because oftentimes when we're up against a certification and we're challenged by it, and I'm going to tell you, this is not an easy exam to pass. I'm just going to put it out there. Took me twice, but still, you have to persevere. This is one of those ones you want to make sure that you are focused and for persevering. And Susan, I'm going to stop sharing. Would you like to share your screen?
First off, thank you, everyone. Great to be here. I apologize for being late. I was cursing at Zoom. I think we've all been there. No, it's not you, it's me. But yeah, Diane, thanks so much for having me here. Whitney, I saw you as I joined. So great to see you. Hello, hello. So yeah, I really don't have anything to present. I've got some links that I can throw in the chat as we go through.
Okay.
But and I've got, I'm representing, I've got my MuleSoft swag on. And really just a little bit.
Wait, sorry. Let me mute it. Sorry. I was trying to grab your link.
That's perfect. That was one of the things I was going to share. So hold that thought. So just a little bit about me. I've been with Salesforce for 2.5 years or so. Credentialing is my background. Been doing it for 25 some odd years, and just really passionate about certification and working with amazing SMEs, subject matter experts like Diane and Whitney and Ryan. I don't know if he's on the call, but and so one thing I will say is when I was working with the MuleSoft certification team, the goal of MuleSoft certifications and credentials are to measure competency and to make sure that someone who is MuleSoft certified or Salesforce certified has demonstrated that competency. We don't sit around writing tricky test questions to try to be sneaky or witty or brilliant in our own way. It's really, we look at the job role or what needs to be done. We create a standard through questions that we ask, and then the exam is all about just making sure people meet that standard. And Diane, I don't know if you have covered anything about the exam blueprint, or if you're going to cover that later on in the call. If not, I can pull that up and share it with everyone. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you would like to. I had some content I was going to use the data sheet, but whatever you've got that is available, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see what I can find, but the data sheet really is a good place to start. And so for those of you on the call, the backbone of any certification exam is this data sheet, or what we call an exam blueprint. And so that's what's going to be on the exam. We're not sliding in extra stuff or tricky stuff that we haven't told you about. So if you are confident and competent in that and what's on that data sheet, you are good to go. The other thing I will say about Diane and Whitney and people at IntegrationQuest who are really passionate about training and education, this is a great group of people. They will help you get across the finish line in regards to certification and help you not just get the credential, but help you learn. So take advantage of everything that they have to say. They're a wealth of knowledge, and they will really set you up for success. So yeah, and plus I love them all. They're just great people.
Wow, and we do you too.
Yeah.
So thank you for
and just to kind of wrap things up, and Diane, you've got it on your screen here. I was asked by an organization called WorkCred, and they're all about workforce development. So I was asked to come on their show and talk about Salesforce certifications and Trailhead. So if you are looking for resources that you want to, or a resource to share with others on the value of Salesforce certifications, on the power of Trailhead as a learning platform, please feel free to share this recording. I walk the audience through what's happening in the credentialing industry, who's hiring, why Salesforce is such a mega force for workforce development, And it just has all the information in that webinar, or in the expert series interview. So with that, I'll see if I can pull some additional resources and share them in the chat. But Diane, thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody, for giving me a few minutes of your time. And I look forward to just kind of hanging out on the call and spending the rest of the time with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to have you. Thank you so much. And Susan led us through many exam writing sessions, and she's right. You know, we were all giggling and wanting to do these trick questions, and she's like, no. No, we're like, oh, okay, you know, but not that we were really being devious, but we were just being silly. And, you know, so thank you for all of tolerating all of our shenanigans, but it's created a deep bond of appreciation for everything you do in your space for certification. And, you know, in addition to on the Salesforce side, but also what is the national organization, or are they international organizations for certification?
So, so thanks for bringing that up, actually. So Salesforce is a member of the IT Certification Council, as is, you know, Microsoft and IBM and Cisco and Google and Amazon. So, you know, so we all kind of get together as a credentialing consortium, if you will, in the tech space to make sure that we are continuing to develop best in class credentials, that they're developed correctly with the right standards in mind, because as of last year, there are over 1 million credentials in the market right now.
Wow.
1 million. I never thought I would say those words. And so IT Cert Council, we get together to make sure that the credentials that we as tech leaders put together still have value. People can get jobs with them, and they still have meaning in this overflooded market. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Diane.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So the link for this is in the chat, and we're going to be putting a lot of stuff in the chat. So go ahead and get some kind of a Word or text document open where you can be grabbing all of these links. I will be emailing attendees only of a lot of the details that I will be mentioning in this presentation, so that we can, I'm going to have some documentation to share with you as well. So it's because you're here that you receive that. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you so much, Susan. And yeah, absolutely. Hang out with us for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, the hyperautomation course scope. So when we talk about preparing for this certification, these are the products that we're using. And so the exam's going to be covering these products. All right. So we've got MuleSoft, where we go through the entire life cycle to secure an API. Okay. So you got to be prepared for all of that. Now, who in the room has taken the exam already? Give me a green check. Green check if you have taken this exam already. All right. And to find the green checks, you go to the reactions. It's probably at the bottom or top of your page, wherever Zoom lands that panel, and it's under reactions. No one's taken the exam yet, as far as I can see, right? Or if you have and you can't find reactions, pop it in the chat.
No green checks, maybe a heart.
Yeah, if you can't find the green checks. Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. That gives me a point of reference. So as you're getting ready to take this exam, number one, you must know the life cycle of the API. You must know all of the components of what it takes to get that API to the point of where it's secure. Because the next step, well, I should say, when it's used in Composer down here, it must be an HTTPS, which means you've got to have a TLS context. The course that we do walks you through all of that. Okay. Then also too, we go into creating a bot, RPA, robotic process automation. And so when we walk through the RPA portion of it, and you'll see that in the Twitch video, if you watch it, you'll see me do it. Now, I don't do everything 100% like it's a class. It's an hour video and the class is a week long. So, you know, you're just going to get the highlights of it. And so that bot, you know, we take that and we read a web page to get the rebates associated with the EVs, the electronic vehicles. So we use RPA there. Then we take and use Composer to bring those together. We're using MuleSoft Composer at that point to bring that portion of the automation together. Then we want to interact with Salesforce. And so we create some Salesforce flows. We also use some flows that are already created for us in the organization that we use for the class. Now you can still go out there and create a lot of this stuff yourself with trial accounts. The only thing there is not a trial account associated, or two things I should say, not associated, is RPA or Composer. If you are on a licensed account right now with MuleSoft or Salesforce, you can ask them to give you a trial of these products. If you're an employee of Salesforce, you can ask for that entitlement as well. If you are not associated with a licensed account or like kind of an individual, you're going to have to lean on the trailheads for that. And there are trailheads, and I'm going to give you those too. Okay. And then we have Salesforce Flow Orchestration. Now, what the orchestration piece does, it acts very much like Flow, but it grabs those Salesforce flows step-by-step procedurally that you can have a department to approve that this person does have a service contract, or the parts for this particular rebate are in stock. So you can have in the orchestration portion step-by-step approval to bring all of it together. That's why it's called orchestration. It's like an orchestrator, bringing everything together. Then the Einstein chatbot is what a customer would interact with. And so we create that at the end, and we're bringing in a chat bot that says, hi, who are you? And then it finds our, the phone name that we use in class, and it finds you and say, by the way, you have these two different, vehicles, which vehicle is. So the chat bot is interacting and making that customer experience much better. It takes it through our flows that we create, the orchestration that we use, and also even the MuleSoft application, the MuleSoft API to go get the details and go ahead and bring in all of that together for the bot to know, to finalize and say, basically the bot finishes out and says, we service department will be getting with you to schedule your appointment. And then we see on the back end all of the inner workings of that within the Salesforce workflows from the orchestration. So anyway, this is what is in the course. This is what you're going to see in the course as far as that process is concerned. And as we go through all of that, we also are using Slack and Google Sheets for Slack for communicating with the accounting department. Okay, this person's having this done. You don't have to bill them at anything. Whereas this person, they don't have the rebate amount is X amount and their balance is this. So we're using Slack and Google Sheets also in the class, in addition, to all of the other pieces together. So it's a lot of content. I'm going to tell you, the first time I took the class as a student, I was like, I loved it. I was like a kid in a candy store because it's all different products as you go through. We start off, like I said, with MuleSoft. So as we're going into looking at preparing for this exam, we want to know what are the objectives. And that's what Susan was talking about, was we want to look at the data sheet. All right, so where you find this data sheet is, we'll go to where the course. Now the course itself, the instructor-led course, is on Trailhead Academy. Okay, but and for those of you, I can bring that up too, but I'll streamline this a little bit. I want to focus on the exam. Okay, so you would either sign up for the course. The certification exam is included in your class. If you are not doing it that way and you're doing the trailheads and self-studying through it to prepare for it, then you can purchase just the exam. And on the exam sheet, let me put this in the chat for you. On the exam page, for right now, it's still living on the training.mulesoft.com site. That will be changing sometime in the future, but for right now, this is where you'll find all of the exams listed. So for the hyperautomation class, you can see some descriptions. There's a summary here that gives you an idea, but more importantly, come down a little bit more into we'll hit the objectives at the bottom. The objectives or topics, as we call it also. This is critically important for you, this portion down here. But before we get there, let's look at, okay, it's a 60 question exam and you have 2 hours. You've got on average 2 minutes per question. Okay, remember that strategy. 70% pass rate. Somebody do the math. 70% of 60 is what? 40. Somebody do the math on how many you can get wrong. I think it's 14 wrong. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But at any rate, you don't want to just pass. You know, you want to like really pass, right? So as we come down further, there's the topics or objectives. Now, if you click open, you can read more and more of what is expected for you to know. There's no guesswork, like Susan said. We're not trying to pull a fast one on you. There's no guesswork involved with this. Oh, there you go. I knew Susan would have it. There, 42 out of 60 to pass. But we don't want to just skittle butt over it. You guys want to soar over this. You know, we want 60 out of 60, right? But there you go. That's what you can target on. So on some of the areas you might think, well, maybe I can, you know, maybe I can, I'm ready for it. So there's a data sheet here. Get a data sheet for the exam here. When you click on this, you're going to go to the download page. Now, this is where all of the data sheets are, etc. I have downloaded this particular data sheet. And so here is the data sheet. So it takes you through those same topics that you see on the actual homepage of the exam and hyperlinks you over to various resources to strengthen you in those areas. There's 2 of them that are going to the Knowledge Hub. And what that means, that's Catalyst. And at the present time, we do not have public access to Catalyst. So my apologies that you cannot actually get to that one. But the others are listed like the MuleSoft Composer Trail Mix. Okay, so if we click on this one, we can see we go to a trail mix about MuleSoft Composer. That's going to give you the exposure, walk through all of these. You're building points on the Trailhead Academy anyway, which is fun. You'll be recognized for your achievements there. And then also too, as you go down each one of these, Composer Overview Trail Mix, there is some additional, even in the RPA, there's an RPA trail mix. Okay, so there's a lot of free resources if you can't take the class. I know of some of the ambassadors in the MuleSoft community. Now, yes, we're strong in MuleSoft because we've been using MuleSoft for a long time, but all of these other components that we may not have really been exposed to, we had to learn these. And a lot of them did do it with the Trailhead Academy trail mixes. So they went through a lot of these and passed the exam. So it can be done. It can be done. I heard that there's some new people to MuleSoft in the room. Okay, there's going to need to be some additional studying in regards to that because you want to be sure to learn MuleSoft. So each one of these has several links here that link you over into the details of each of these objectives. Okay, now another important factor on these topics or objectives, as I keep calling them, is that when you take the practice exam, see if I have the practice exam open. When you take the practice exam and you go through that process, I thought I had it open. Let me just go ahead and launch into it again. So to get to the next on the list, so here we had the exam, get your data sheet, as I showed you how to get, review those objectives. They're full of links. Take that practice exam. Okay, that's next on the list. Take the practice exam. So let me jump in here. And on this sheet also is the practice exam. Okay, so if I go into the practice exam, it's free. You can take it multiple times. And what the practice exam is going to do is give you a real experience of what the actual exam feels like. Okay. And when you do this, as you're going through the practice exam and you take the test, again, what I urge you to do is take it in its entirety numerous times, because you're getting your brain, you're like exercising your brain to sit for a 2-hour exam. That alone can fatigue you. And if you start to get tired and, gosh, I just want to, what is the next, you can get drained in just taking the exam. You want your brain to be ready to take a 2-hour exam. So as you're going through and taking the exams, I'm just going to randomly, don't look at my answers, because I'm randomly going to choose an answer. And as you go through this is very much like what you're going to see for the real exam. It's timed at the top, 60 questions. There's your 60 questions. You've got 2 hours. Now you might get to some of the questions and they might be, oh, no, I don't want to go away from it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Some of them might look pretty easy, and you might be pretty confident. And some of them are going to have a choose two. All right. That's very important. If you only choose one, you get the whole thing wrong. Make sure you watch for choose two. Or if it's choose three, hopefully not. But at any rate, these are the questions. So you'd want to choose two. Again, don't hold me accountable for the answers. But if you're not quite sure, don't sit and linger and wait and watch. Mark it for a review. Keep going. Watch your time. Make sure you're good. API meets a layer of, I'm not looking for sure, so I don't know what it is, but I go forward. Okay. And just here's another choose two. Once again, some of them are really organized nicely where you can see and do, like, if you're uncertain, process of elimination and go through it that way. Okay. So that's some of my best exam tips. There's another choose two. This one's got a lot in it. All right. So let's say I'm done and I make sure I have had people tell me that they've gotten all the way to the end of an exam, or I should say they were not able to get all the way to the end of the exam. That's very unfortunate, because what if some of these questions down here are really easy? Okay, so you really want to power through it all and then come back and check the ones you have marked to be reviewed. So don't linger too long, watch your time. All right, so I've had people tell me I didn't get a chance to even finish all of the questions. So then click on finish. It's telling me, oh, you've got one to review. Okay, so I have to go back to that one for review. I'm good with my answer. And then click finish. And what we get at the end here, of course, I'm not answering all of them, so otherwise it'd be very long. Good, I got all of them wrong. Wow. So that tells you can't just wing it and choose clicking. Sometimes I get a lot of them right just by random, but I wanted to point this out to you. Look at the objectives on the left here, and they're going to match the topics on the data sheet. Okay, so this first one, employ best practices when using hyperautomation. Employ best practices. Look at that. Okay, so when you get your report at the end, you're going to see the areas where you scored high, where you scored low. That's why I say use the report to identify your gaps. Go back, repeat, focus on those gap objectives. Study it again. Take the exam again, the practice exam. You can take it numerous times. Okay. And as you go through and you're really conditioning yourself and understanding, the details of it, that's where you want to go through that process. You want to go through and make sure you're very strong going into it. Okay. Now for best tips also. Yes.
Hey, Diane, just a real quick comment and kind of a heads up for people when they use the practice exam. To answer the question, the answer key is not available for the practice exam because it's designed to really give you that experience to say, to go through the exam and test yourself on those key objectives that Diane was talking about. One thing I will caution you though, and I've seen this time and time again with candidates, they take the practice exam over and over and over and over and over again until they get really good at answering the same set of questions. Like let's say you get to a point where you score a 98% on the practice exam, and then you go to take the exam and your score is a 60 on the exam. And what's happening is that the practice test questions are the same set of questions. So what's actually happening is you're getting really good at answering the same set of questions. Whereas your knowledge in certain areas isn't necessarily growing or expanding. So just caution you that usually when you take the first time you take that practice exam, that gives you a really good indicator of where your skills are at this point in time. If you go off and study and learn some things and get your hands on practicing some things, and then you come back maybe 3 weeks later, I think that's going to give you another pretty good indicator of where your skills at. If you sit down and take the practice exam 15 times in a 4-hour time span, you're just getting better at answering the same set of questions. So just wanted to set the expectation up of really how to properly use that practice exams to your successful.
Yeah, that's a great point, Susan. And another thing too that I noticed is the way a question is asked on a practice exam may have a different spin to it. And I caught that when I actually sat for the exam, is that the way it was asked in the practice exam, even though there was some similarity on the real exam, the answer was different because the question had some different keywords in it that pointed me to a different answer. So don't just like, oh, I know that one. Same thing like the memorization, oh, I got that one. So yeah, very important. And really reading the questions, looking for those keywords. And again, choose 3. This one's got to choose 3. So, and no, there's not the key, as Susan mentioned. But if you're stumped on a certain question, like if you're, and that's what we're here, for, and we're going to open it up to Q&A, is that if you have a question on the exam that you're like, I'm just totally lost on this, I don't really know what it's trying to say. Let's dissect it. Let's talk about it. And we can go over that. Okay. So another great chart that was created by the senior instructor that created this course, James Parks, super great friend of mine. He is now in sales, so I know he's doing great over there, but he has proposed this. Now, again, it's not a MuleSoft or Salesforce documentation. It's thoughts that might help you to know when to use what product or recommendations on some of this. And I do have this in a PDF format for you as well, that we will be emailing out to you. And so it's looking at actually it was at one of our meetups that we had Servan, who shared he had just passed the hyperautomation class. And he said the most challenging thing for him was knowing what product to use when. Okay. On the scenarios for the exam, what product are they referencing to use? Because again, that's going to be varied. And notice even in James's outline here, that some are, yes, some might be possible. You could use both. And he's got some footnotes that are part of the PDF that I'll be glad to share with you. So this might be very helpful as well. I know that it kind of gave clarity, the difference between MuleSoft RPA, what's going to be used likely for the platform, MuleSoft Composer, Salesforce Flow, and then orchestration and the interaction between them. So you can kind of see clear areas where one would work and another one would not, and others would be, again, there's some possibilities there. And as we know in the integration space, depending on your use case is going to be determining what you actually need to use and want to use going forward, and the scalability of that. Okay. So I wanted to share that. Now let's open it up to question and answers. Is anyone currently studying or wanting clarity on certain objectives that we've had for hyperautomation and the course and the exam? I know we had some asking about the key. Sorry, no key. Anyone?
Diane, you might have said this earlier and I missed it, but what is really the benefit of getting this hyperautomation specialist? I was going to say degree. It's not degree.
Certification.
Is it just exposure to more Salesforce products, or what am I getting out of this?
Okay, what you're getting when we approach, let's say we show up, either as a consultant or we started new on a project, and we are assessing their needs, what's going on. And you'll find that people will have data all over the place. They'll have a database over here. I'm going to use an example of a scenario that was a real life scenario. We've got an older AS400 sitting over here that's got my medical records in it. Okay. And then we've got my EHR, electronic health record, over here in Athena Health. And so that's another, component here. And then we've got labs department, we've got radiology, we've got the business group, we've got pre-certs happening, pre-certifications for any, procedures to be done. And all of these different sources of data or business processes, if we can create a hyperautomation solution for many of them that will pull the data needed from these different data sources or put them where they need to be, the hyperautomation specialist certification would give you that level of understanding of how you can get that data for them, how you can interact and bring this solution together when it crosses various platforms. Right. And how it goes, through, to achieve the goals that we needed. Because for myself, what I saw many years ago is that, these systems were not set up to communicate well with each other. The interoperability was shot out. And what I mean by that is not only at connecting and understanding what each system was saying, but it understanding and having the proper data type for that in addition. So all of that, as a hyperautomation specialist, your role, yes, it brings you into more efficient solutions, and it's really setting you up forward for the upcoming growth that's happening in the hyperautomation space, and even AI. There's AI too. Susan, go ahead, share some of that. Yeah, because you've got the statistics on that.
Yeah, so I'm Whitney, it's a great question. And so I'm going to come at it more from just a pure workforce and market demand perspective. I've been pulling a lot of data just to see, again, referencing that million credentials in the marketplace right now. I'm just curious, do people care about Salesforce certifications anymore? Or are they just becoming watered down like everything else out there? And the good news is people care about Salesforce certification. So I just included some stats, 11.6 million jobs and over $2 trillion in new business revenue between 2022 and forecasting to 2028. That's huge. Yeah. And so it's not only, Salesforce hiring Salesforce employees, but it's the 150,000 global Salesforce customers who are looking for people who have Salesforce skills, and not just I've logged in and I've used Salesforce Trailhead skills. We're talking the really deep technical skills so that these customers can run their businesses. So massive demand, and we're just going to keep seeing it grow and grow, on into the future. And especially, Diane, to your point with AI, I'm sure these numbers are low compared to now what they are or will be with AI on the scene.
Yeah, and I know that AI has so many different applications that can, benefit. Looking at even, my big focus has always been, or I shouldn't say has always been, but my passion that got me started in MuleSoft was healthcare, and using AI in that category for diagnosis. Not that it would replace a doctor, but give a doctor options of, what could it be? What, their ER doctors are trying to solve a puzzle. You show up and something's wrong, and so they're trying to assess all of the details. Have some great comments or questions coming in the chat. Mike, as a newbie, should I start with the fundamentals? I would recommend that. However, there is also a integration associate certification. Whitney, if you want to grab that, and it has a trailhead associated with it. So if you are brand new, Mike, that would actually be a great start for you for terminology, understanding, the API-led architectural design, the reusability. So it's a great place to start. As a brand new in this space, I would go with the integration associate certification. It's a nice entry level.
I shared a link to the learning paths on the training.mulesoft MuleSoft.com site. I'd have to look at the trail for the integration associate.
Okay. And what we can do as a takeaway in my list of links to share, I will add that, Mike. So if we don't capture it while we're here, we will add that in that document I send out too. And more generally, what's the recommended path? Okay, yeah, we'll get on that. Vegeta, am I saying that right? Vegeta, am I pronouncing your name? Has asked.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great question. People still ask for hands-on experience. You're not kidding. I'm telling you what, how can we show that after certification? Proof of concepts. What I want you to do, what I did is I went out there, it was part of my master's degree capstone. And so build something, work with a tangible building,
Okay.
a proof of concept, get involved in the MuleSoft community, share some of what you've created, share some of, really get that exposure. And even if you're not technically hired by someone yet, you can add that to different experience that you've had. Because I did. I used, I had the healthcare capstone that I created as my proposal. So get your hands in there, create some things, that now some of the products, as far as hyperautomation is concerned, you can't get to for free, unfortunately, but there's still plenty you can do to show that competency. Yeah.
Okay, because this is the same issue I'm facing because I do have a CPQ certification, but I'm still not getting requirement for the CPQ. Still for the developer, I'm stuck. So that's why I wanted to ask this question. Thank
Great
you.
question. Yeah. Hey, actually, so that's part of the Tableau certification. Is that correct?
No, the CPQ is different. The Tableau is different, and Einstein is also different. I think Tableau and Einstein is one part of the certification, if I'm not wrong.
Mhm.
But CPQ is different.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Yeah. And unfortunately, if there is not, a trial account to work off of, sometimes there are some boot camps that you might want to participate in that allow you those entitlements to work with a product.
It will be great if you can also share some links for the MuleSoft group or community group, which we can join. And, people do share a lot of questions. That also gives you a perspective to think about, like, what can be the solution and that.
Yes, here you go, MuleSoft community. And we regularly host meetups. Actually, the work that we do with the study groups is because we're all ambassadors or mentors or leaders in the meetup leaders in the MuleSoft community. And so this is our community contribution that we do for IntegrationQuest. So yeah, be sure to become a member there and watch. There are several, when you go to the attend the MuleSoft meetup, I know some of you have said you've signed in from India, your different places. There's several that are virtual. So you can, participate in any of them. It may be based on industry or it may be based on region, but a lot of them are still virtual. And so if there's a topic that you see that's of interest to you or you want to learn more about, come on in there. You can do Q&A like we're doing now and ask questions about that particular product. Yeah,
Yes.
nonprofits. Also, Susan, that's a great point. I had not thought of that. Yeah, donating your time to nonprofits. There you go. Yeah. And then any other questions? Let me make sure I'm not missing any here. What's the certificate path for Salesforce developers? Okay, now that's a little different than the MuleSoft. And I think that pathway is defined out there as well. And again, this is the MuleSoft learning path. And Whitney put that in the chat. And let me see if I can go to the Salesforce.
I also added the integration associate certification page.
Oh, good.
Which has a link to the trail mix. So that's the last link from me.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Well, good. Sidhal, he learned about MuleSoft by randomly going to a meetup. You fell right into that one, didn't you? But that's the best part about it, and I have to say, Whitney's got a video out there. Whitney, where is that currently of what certification meant to you, to your career? Where is that?
Oh, it's on YouTube. Hold on.
Okay, she's going to put a link of how certification made a difference in her career. And when I first came into MuleSoft, what I really was working on my master's degree, and I fell in love with what MuleSoft solution provided, because I was in a healthcare situation in IT, working on projects and realizing how broke the system was, how badly they were not integrated. And when I fell into MuleSoft, I kind of fell into it also, in that I was overwhelmed with the ability that it had. And so it made, I was passionate at that point. My goal was to become completely certified that next year. And I did. And then we added 2 more certifications, three more certifications. And now I can't say I'm fully certified anymore, but I'm fixing that. The only one I'm lacking right now is the Catalyst certification. So at any rate, you just dive in, and start learning. And when I came to teaching the hyperautomation class, I didn't have the flow skills that I felt like I should have to teach it. Now it's covered in our material, and we go over flows, and a lot of the flows, I took classes on those flows. I went and sat in several weeks long and doing different trailheads to learn how flow worked. And it's really cool. Any of you, if you've never experienced flow, it's like old-fashioned flow charts, but they do the work. It's not just planning the logic. Those flow charts actually do the work. So it's very cool in how it works. And when you're doing the hyperautomation solution, you're getting the best of all that these offer. For example, like Whitney was saying, how would this benefit, this certification, how would it benefit me? Let's say there's a client out there who is already using Salesforce. They're well, experienced in Salesforce, and they have a organization and using all that, but they now need to get data from a legacy system. Well, Salesforce isn't the best fit to do that. Or if they've got documents or processes that a bot, RPA, could scan that page or scan that document and pull that data in and save a person, so as you approach that, and they're already using some of these other features, you can hyper automate them by adding these other components to it. And so wherever your skill sets are, some of you in the room might be strongly into MuleSoft. Some of you might be brand new to MuleSoft. Some of you might be well into Salesforce, but whatever your skills are, you can use the whole school, what you already have learned to contribute to the hyperautomation solutions. So yeah, it really is, isn't it? Yeah, there's really a lot there. Are there any other questions? Please go ahead and put them in the chat. Watching our time frame here a little bit. Make sure that we I try to like to keep it around the lunchtime. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All righty. Let me bring us to a couple announcements. Again, real quickly, it's here in the slides. I have them in order. That challenge for the Okta configuration is already done, and it's documented on the Twitch TV. So you can go to that link. We shared that link earlier. Then next challenge is next Thursday to actually configure what we need to have the OIDC client provider configured on a platform account. So you'll create a trial account to do that and set yourself up for the third challenge of using it. Okay, of using it. Now, for those of you brand new to MuleSoft, you can still do this. This is a great thing to learn. A lot of times when you come onto a project, this is already done. If you know how to do this and skill yourself up on this, that would set you apart from the just regular run of the mill, and we can do, we've been talking about adding badges to some of our challenges. Whitney, this might be a cool badge. What do you think? Like a little MuleSoft, Okta.
Sure. Sorry. I had to
Or And when you do all 3 of the challenges, and they're going to be recorded, we'll walk you through it. You're not going to be lost. But when you do all 3 of them, you get an hour time with me, one-on-one. I'll give you my undivided attention and answer any questions or help you with whatever you're working on.
So I'm not technical, but I'd be willing to just give it a try just to spend time with you, Diane.
Oh, absolutely, Susan. That would be lovely. Definitely, definitely. I'm looking forward to that, but you have to qualify. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can. And of course, December 29th, after the holidays, before New Year's, will be the Data Weave challenges. I think Ryan's running this one, right, Whitney? Ryan
That's correct. It's part 2 to the advent of code. So for those that are interested in Data Weave or have saw part 1, this is part 2 to that. And you can also see any of the study groups or a select number of study groups on the YouTube page.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Nirmala, how to pass client ID and client secret in Postman for challenge 1. That client ID and client secret, there is a place for it in Postman. And I don't cover that in the video because I'm using Advanced REST Client, but I will capture that for you because there is a place for it. And to answer right off the top of my head, I will find out for you so I get that right, accurate.
Sure, Diane. I've sent it using the body in the XMWW format, but it didn't accept it. It was throwing 401 unauthorized.
Yeah. And see, as that pops up, yeah, I will find out in Postman. There we go. And I will send that to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Vegeta, it's enrolled for anyone to do. There's no sign up. There's not a sign up for, is there a sign up for Twitch TV? When you go here, does it ask you to sign up?
I believe anybody can watch.
Okay, so by signing up or like by joining that, I can do the first challenge and then I could go for the second challenge if I'm not wrong.
That is correct.
Yeah, and you don't have to follow, but I mean, I think following you get a notification. Alex also gives a shout out to people that follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is there
should.
gonna be the third, like any other sessions like this? Where can I sign up for those sessions?
For the study groups,
Like the session which I'm attending right now, like the
Yeah.
Zoom session.
Whitney?
So study groups happen every 2 weeks on Friday at 12 p.m. And
Okay.
there's sign up in 3 places, but they all map to Zoom. So there's our actual website. There'll be sign up there on Eventbrite, and then there's also sign up on LinkedIn. So I'm not sure, how did you find out about the study group?
I found it on the Trailhead, but if you can share the link of the LinkedIn or the IntegrationQuest, that will be really great. So I don't miss
Okay.
the coming
So-
ones.
Yeah, Whitney, there it is. We're going to put a tab up here that links you right to the study groups.
Yes. So I don't have next week ready, but what I can do, I do have the Zoom link ready. I can share the Zoom link really quickly. It's not
Okay.
posted, but I can share that. And pretty much that link will get you registered to next week's or 2 weeks from now, that study
Okay.
group. Because all the other ones are integrated with Zoom. So I will put that in the chat and you guys can sign up early.
Okay, that will be great.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. And then at the Twitch TV, I'll be interacting and asking for those of you who've completed the first one. Once you've completed it, let me go ahead and have you connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message at that point to LinkedIn. Let me bring that up real quick. And we're working on a Hall of Fame board on the website to where we can mention your achievements there as well. Okay, because we want to be sure to include. And any of you that, have some questions specifically about hyperautomation or where you're at on that journey, and you want to send a, message or anything like that, that is fine. Do you know if I'm teaching? Because I'm about to go back on a teaching marathon starting in January, where I'll be teaching like 4 weeks straight. So if I'm delayed in getting back, please understand, teaching, but I will get back with you, I promise. So there you
So
go.
yeah, I've placed the registration link here. So just if anyone had any trouble getting in, whatever platform you register with, if it's LinkedIn or if it's on Eventbrite or directly, that account has to be mapped to your Zoom account. So the email associated with those accounts have to be mapped with your Zoom account because it's integration behind the scenes. So that if you've had problems with that, that may be one of the reasons.
Or if you have a work Zoom account, I know mine gets hijacked. Susan, I think that's what happened with yours. Because my work Zoom account will, for teaching, that Zoom account will get hijacked, and I have to make sure I'm under my IntegrationQuest one. So, oh, fun. Always fun. All right. Any other questions? We're here to help you succeed. We're here to help you. And my biggest advice to you is this: just don't give up. Be stubborn. Be stubborn. I was really amazed when I first came through and I did the fundamental course by myself. I did self-paced. Then I started coaching some of my associates that were in the little study group that we were doing at that time. And I started helping some of them. And then I actually got a tutoring job to tutor other students. And when I tutored them, we all took the exam together and I passed the first time. 8 others passed the first time out of 10. So I was the 11th person technically. So 9 of us passed the first try and 2 of us came back around and needed to, we coached them more and they passed. So I share that with you to say some things come easy, some things come hard. One of the architect classes, one of the architect exams was really hard for me. I'm going to tell you, it took like 5 times. Embarrassingly, I'm going to tell you, it took me 5 times before the exam was updated, Susan. The old exam. That exam now has been updated and it closer reflects the objectives. It was not, I won't go there, but let me just say the exam now is much better. I know I have students in my class that I teach and it's funny now, I teach that class, the platform architect class, and the objectives are so clear. I have students that, come out of that class and they turn around and the pass rate is super high. So it's just really about being prepared and don't give up. Hyperautomation is not easy. I'm going to tell you, because there's all these different products and some that you may not have, the experience in. Just be determined and we'll help you. We're here. So best to all of you. So who's ready to take the exam, or who is let me not say ready, who's committed to passing this exam, hyperautomation? Put it in the chat if you'd like. Or who is committed for any of the certifications? And if so, which certification are you after? Awesome. Very good. Excellent.
I have a quick question. Susan, do you put a block of text earlier? It was like a snippet. Do you have the original article or was that internal to Salesforce?
Whitney, I can send you that information. It's sort of embedded in a PowerPoint and all that good stuff. So I can dig it out and send it to you.
Okay.
So you can. Oh, go ahead.
The reason I'm asking is because I wrote a blog about our Salesforce certifications worth it. And it would be nice to have that in it if this is a public article, to have that sourced in that article.
Yeah, I believe it's a public article. So I will I'll go back and find it and send it to you. And then do you want me to send it to you through LinkedIn, or do you want to shoot me your direct email?
Yeah.
Any way you like. I'm happy to send it your way.
This is my email. Yeah. Oh, I sent a direct message to someone else.
And I'm like,
That's funny. Hold on. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll be sure to pass that over to the right person. Whoever got the other email, just say hi, Whitney. Appreciate the email info.
Yeah. All right. I sent it.
got
Well,
it.
I see we have some people that are committed to passing, committing to getting started. All of these are great, and it's great to see that you're, on that journey. I know, Whitney shares in that video, her increase of income. My increase of income honestly had that first year and a half blew me away. Now, when I first started my first job, I didn't have developer experience, but they needed a MuleSoft administrator. And so there are other positions out there that you can utilize to get your foot in the door and then expand from there. Because as a MuleSoft administrator, I was like a systems operator on the platform. And that expanded my knowledge of managing a deployment that was hybrid and everything about the platform. So every step along the way is going to build your skills more. And believe me, we oftentimes have, positions crossing our paths and we're like, hey, this may be for you, or I might pass it to one person, they pass it to another. I think someone in the room recently got hired, didn't they? On a new journey for her MuleSoft career. Celebration to someone who recently was certified also, if I remember right.
Sounds like that might be me.
There you go. Awesome. Congratulations to you. Tell us about your journey. We've got some new muleys in the room, and maybe her testimony's on our website already, but tell us a little bit.
Sure. So back in October, I'm actually affiliated with a different tech organization. There was an opportunity to join an apprenticeship. So I had applied for it and I got an apprenticeship with Actera. So I had did that for about 6 months, and then I came across IntegrationQuest and I started coming to the meetings and I really enjoyed everyone, and really just being here really helped me with passing my certification. So of course I started like putting out the applications, and you get the denials and it's a little discouraging, but talking to Diane and Ryan and Whitney and the whole team really encouraged me. So as of this month, I'm the federal contractor as a MuleSoft developer. So it took about a year. It took about a year to get into the space, but this is a really like viable resource. So the fact that everybody's here right now is a great step to becoming a developer truly. So that's basically what my journey was over the past year or so.
So proud of you. Well done. Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. And we're cheering you on all the way up. And the neat thing about us, as far as not only IntegrationQuest, but the MuleSoft community, if you come across something in your line of work and you're like, I'm not sure, what would be the best way to handle this? Bounce it off of us. Bounce it off of some of the, muleys in the community, where there's a wealth of resources and willing hearts to help, just to share, consider this or try that. We try to do a little disclaimer, research all matters, all avenues, but have you tried this? Or we did this, set up something a particular way and we found it to be successful. So, we're here to encourage and help in, any way that we can. So, but congratulations to you. So proud. Yeah. Like Susan said, good things are worth the effort. That is true. Very true. Awesome. Yes, we love you too. And we're seriously so proud. And I get messages from some of my students and, just seeing the growth, and some are brand new as well. So Mike, even though I know you're like brand new to a lot of this, someone else mentioned they were just getting started. That's okay. We all started somewhere, and as you continue to learn and grow and you pose some of the questions that you might need clarity on, or we might be doing challenges like the data we've challenged, the Okta challenge. After I'm done with Okta, I'm going to do the identity provider for the single sign-ons, because sometimes that's not, something you have to do, but it's good to see how it's done, right? So, but thank you all. Let's go ahead and conclude here. Let me put up our final thank you here. As always, let everyone else know, let your colleagues know, bring a friend, and thanks so much. If we don't see you or hear from you, I pray that you have a wonderful holiday time as well as a happy new year. Of course, the Data Weave classes, the Data Weave study group is going to be the 29th. So there's one more event in 2023, and then we'll be kicking off the 2024 season. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day and see you again soon.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.